Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hold My Nugget Studios for your 2019 NCAA March Madness first round game highlight commentary. We would begin the tournament with Louisville taking on Minnesota, and Louisville's being killed from deep like a virgin sleeping with a Mandingo warrior because they cannot contain Minnesota from three. Louisville's defense is just non-existent as Minnesota would produce more threes than Del Curry semen, and they'd knock Louisville out of the tournament. Somewhere Rick Pitino is masturbating at the misery of his Louisville Cardinals. Up next, we got LSU taking on Yale.
Yes!
Nitorino, use thief.
Give me that.
Yale would utilize their Ivy League education, attempt to take their receipt to the sperm bank because they're looking for a comeback after being down 17. Down by 6, under 13 seconds left to play. They'd connect from 3 and cut their deficit in half. But did this help them come back and win? Absolutely not. They would lose by 5. Fuck the Ivy Leagues. Get out of the tournament. If I was born in Mexico and I immigrated to New Mexico, am I reborn as a New Mexican or am I a double Mexican? What are we talking about over here? As Auburn takes on New Mexico State, where the condensation is turning into precipitation because they're making it rain from 3. Auburn would connect on 12 threes on the day, but much like relationships in Alabama, things would be kept close as New Mexico State would connect on a deep 3, cut their deficit to 1, and they'd say, I'd like things to stay that way, as they'd cut it to 1 again. Auburn with a chance to go up 2. They missed the free throw. They'd connect on the second. New Mexico State now down by 2 would kick it out for 3. They'd be fouled. They have a chance to win at the line. Terrell Brown at the line with the pride of the dreadlocks. He misses the first. He'd connect on the second. The third attempt, he'd put it up to tie up the game. He'd miss, but it's out of bounds on Auburn. Somebody shave his head bald. New Mexico State on the inbound. They're wide open, and the shot's gonna be... Get a pump for his scrotum. It's an air ball, no good. New Mexico State's going home. Florida State taking on Vermont. It'd be a back and forth game through 30 minutes, but midway through the second half, Florida State would take the lead and refuse to look back. Triple teams, no problem. Get off of me, Florida State, moving on to the next round. Up next, Michigan State taking on Bradley. Big man going down. Although Bradley would keep the game relatively close, Cassius Winston would absolutely take over as he would score 26 points and lead Michigan State into the second round. Time to ice the game. That's how the white man shoot the basketball. Much like impromptu anal, we got a tight one down the stretch between Belmont and Maryland. Both teams would exchange the lead throughout the second half, but Michigan would take over for good as they'd purchase a cocoa mango cherry scoop. And watch out what happens to the white guy in the paint. He told them to hold my nuggets, suck my dick. Last chance for Belmont. Hey, what's your favorite pastry? Turnovers as Maryland's moving on to the second round. Up next, we have Kansas taking on Northwestern, and the only way to truly understand what transpired in this game is imagine being Helen Keller enrolling in an intergender boxing competition, and your first opponent is Mike Tyson in 1989. You're gonna lose, and they got punched. Northwestern was participating in the Jeffrey Dahmer necrophilia challenge because they may be dead, but somehow Kansas made sure they were still getting fucked. Murray State taking on Marquette, but it turned into the Ja Morant show because he'd reveal his left testicle. He'd reveal his right testicle. He'd collect a triple-double and rub his nutsack all over the Marquette Golden Eagles. How do my nuts taste down there? Hold my nuggets. Suck my dick! Get out the tournament! We'd into the Battle of Wildcats, and somebody explain to me why the law enforcement has not apprehended Kentucky for their assault of Abilene Christian. Qualify for the tournament, they said. It would be fun, they said. ACU getting blown out like a teenage girl's hair before prom. Kentucky moving on to the second round. The reigning, defending, undisputed national champion Villanova taking on St. Mary's. The Wildcats would jump out to an early lead. Oh, sit down, Susan. Villanova would hold on to win. Up next, get that weak shit out of here. It's fitting Gonzaga is playing against Dickinson because they may be dead, but they're still getting fucked as the necrophilia would continue in the March Madness tournament. Nevada down by 17 would look to take their receipt to the sperm bank because they're looking for a comeback.
Yoink.
Cookies! Nevada would cut their deficit to 7. I'm telling you, no bloody! Nevada would pull within 3, but did that help them come back and win though? Absolutely not, as the Peninsula State would put them away and move on to the second round. Up next, Seton Hall taking on Wofford, and they must have originated from the village hidden in the mist, because much like a harlot's vulva region in the presence of the chiseled Adonis, the jump shot is wet, as Wofford would connect on 13 three-point attempts from beyond the arc to put away Seton Hall. The runner-ups from last year, Michigan taking on Hannah, Montana. And somebody must have put a little bit of Flint in Montana's water, because things ain't looking too good. They're out the tournament. Baylor taking on Syracuse, and Baylor graduated from Larry Bird University with a PhD in Steph Curry studies and a minor in Ray Allen studies, because they connect on 16 threes and put Syracuse away. Purdue taking on Old Dominion, and this easy chicken, they take Old Dominion to the retirement home and put them out their misery, kick them out the tournament. Much like starting a lawnmower, Iowa is pulling away from Cincinnati. The game was actually close for a little bit, but then Cincinnati does what the city of Cincinnati does best, and that's lose. Somebody get Jim Ross on the phone, because there's a slobber knocker between Oklahoma and Ole Miss. You down by 20 points with 8 minutes left to go. Somebody unplug their controller. Get them out the tournament. It appeared to be a close game throughout the first half, but Texas Tech would open up the lead against Northern Kentucky. Jarrett Culver went to the bar. He started flirting with this girl. Her name was Triple Double, and there was nothing Northern Kentucky can do about it, as Texas Tech would move on to the second round. UC Irvine seeking their first tournament win in school history as they take on Kansas State, and this game was much like a male appendage job during coitus, because it was back and forth, but UC Irvine would maintain the lead. Kansas State would keep things interesting as they drain the 3, but woo-woo, clitoris alert, he'd throw it to his teammate out of bounds, and UC Irvine would drain the free throws and put the game away. Second-ranked Tennessee taking on the toothpaste, and Colgate would give them all that they can handle. Down by 6 down the stretch, Tennessee would say, I like gingivitis, get the toothpaste out of here. Fuck a Colgate, cresting this bitch pussy, and Tennessee would put Colgate out of the tournament. A tough first half for Virginia as they'd struggle against Gardner-Webb, but in the second half they would pull away. It took a little bit of a while, but they remembered that Thanos got rid of the webs and they said, get the fuck out of here, Spider-Man. Arizona State playing the role of a vegan headed to Buffalo Wild Wings, because they ain't a goddamn thing you can do, as they would get their asses whipped by Buffalo. They're moving to the second round. Oregon bringing the cheese and the milk to Wisconsin because they're lactose intolerant. Somebody tell Wisconsin to go to the bathroom, because they gonna be shitting and having diarrhea after this lackluster performance. Get the hell out the tournament. Washington playing the role of a woman playing hard to get at the club, but Utah State would make a comeback, so it appears he done made it to the girl's house, but she's on her period. It was all to no avail. Washington moving on. North Dakota State taking on Duke, and this is how the game was called in the eyes of ESPN. Barrett, Zion with the steal, Zion with possession, Zion behind the back, Zion with the score, Barrett from 3, Zion from 3, Barrett with the reverse dunk, Zion with the score inside. Occasional white guy with the three-point shot. And Duke is moving on to the second round. Georgia State came, they saw, and Houston did not have a problem putting them away. It's as if they just took out their butt cheeks and rubbed it all over Georgia State. Did they even try? Man, get your bum asses out the tournament. Mississippi State taking on Liberty. Get that shit out of here. Down by double digits in the second half, they take their receipt to the sperm bank and they would get their comeback as they would take the lead over Mississippi State. And with under 4 seconds left to play, much like Amber Rose in a room of penises, Mississippi State, you blew it. Here's the funny thing about this game. It was actually close, and then a gang of toddlers came over on their tricycles with baskets and hit Iona, and North Carolina saw the dead body, they pulled out the condoms and the necrophilia began. Because Iona may be dead, but somehow North Carolina's finding a way to fuck them as they would move on to the second round. Look at Taco Tuesday in the paint putting down the slam as UCF would take on VCU. This game was never really close. UCF was in control the entire time. VCU tried to make a comeback, but it came up short, much like Gary Coleman. Ohio State taking on Iowa State, and this game would come down to the wire. Ohio State would drain a three to take the lead by 2. Iowa State would miss on a three-point shot, but put it back to cut their deficit to 2. Step back. Gotcha, bitch. Iowa State would cut the deficit to 1, but when they came to the mechanic and they asked what kind of car they drive, they told them they had to drive automatic because they didn't have the clutch in the car. Ohio State moving on. And last but not least, Virginia Tech taking on the St. Louis Billikens. And if your team name is Billikens, you're never gonna win. What the hell is a Billiken? It might as well have been a substitute for toilet paper because Virginia Tech wiped their ass with the St. Louis Billikens, and they would win their first tournament game since 2007. For St. Louis, Iowa State, VCU, Iona, Mississippi State, Georgia State, ND State, Utah State, Wisconsin, Arizona State, Gardner-Webb, Colgate, the toothpaste, Kansas State, Northern Kentucky, Mississippi, Cincinnati, Old Dominion, Syracuse, Montana, Seton Hall, St. Mary's, FDU, ACU, Nevada, Marquette, Northeastern, Belmont, Bradley, Vermont, MN State, Yale, and Louisville. Take out your Metro cards, head to Elimination Station, and get aboard the L train. But your ride will be short-lived. Consider your names written down in the Death Note for your dreams of advancing to the second round, the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final 4, and the National Championship have been absolutely deleted.
What the hell wrong with them? What's wrong with them? What's wrong with it?
So what's on?
You big dummy! Nancy! Hold my nuggets. Suck my dick!